Welcome everyone to the CFO Swinger Watch Report's technical analysis video for the week of September 16th through 20th. Alright, I'm finally back to doing these videos. My sickness is finally over, as you guys can clearly hear from my voice. So let's first start off with the markets. So the S&P 500, or ticker symbol SPY here, is inches away from hitting the current all-time high price of $565.16. Now, I know you guys have been hearing me say this number quite a lot now, well, especially for the past couple of weeks or maybe in the past 2 to 3 months. So you guys should have this number etched inside of your brains. Well, with inches away from hitting this current all-time high price, based off of last Friday's closing price of $562.01, we are literally about 0.56% away from hitting this current all-time high price, and ultimately a few centimeters away from hitting a new all-time high price print. So with that being said, okay, we obviously need a little bit more of constructive sideways. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, we have this upper range resistance level at $563.65, or if you guys just want to bring it down to the whole number level, $563.50. Now, to me, this is the all-time high, okay, quote-unquote all-time high resistance level. Now, why do I say that even if it's not really the all-time high level? Well, if you move up and observe the emptiness right above this significant and established resistance level, we don't have anything else, right? We don't have any data or any candlesticks to go off of to make a significant resistance level other than this $563.50 whole number resistance level. And so most likely tomorrow on Monday, we should be seeing a nice retest of this significant resistance level and seeing a slight rejection back to the downside. Now, it might be expecting, or could we be expecting, a straight move back down? No. What I'm envisioning for tomorrow is a candlestick that potentially looks like this. So it's essentially a very small and tight doji candlestick. Now, obviously in this case, it looks like an evening star doji candlestick, but it is not, right? Fear not, it is not that. All right, so tomorrow, I really want to see the closing price sticking to last Friday's highs, or even last Friday's closing price of $562.01. And if that is what we get tomorrow, then I would expect us to continue to tightly move sideways until Wednesday, when we get our rate decision after the FOMC meeting. And so if that happens, we should continue to break over $563.50 once we do get that official rate cut on Wednesday, and then continue to move on up higher into the end of the week and hit new all-time highs. So that is my ideal world for the S&P 500. Now, with all this being said, there is an even more important index that we need to go over, and that is IWM, the Russell 2000. Now, the Russell 2000 has been a blessing and also kind of a headache as well for the past couple of weeks, but mostly a blessing since it has yielded us an over 400% return back in July. And so IWM has been making a very constructive sideways action. Yes, it's a very, very volatile sideways action here, since it is the Russell 2000 that we're talking about, and especially as we're heading towards a potential rate cut environment or cycle. So IWM has been essentially getting ready for this rate cut cycle, as we saw the initial hype coming in back in early July, which caused this absolute launch of the price to the upside. But now the fact that we are seeing a bit more scrutiny over whether or not the Federal Reserve is going to be, cutting rates by 25 BP or 50 basis points. Who knows? Right now it's a 50-50. So make sure you guys, again, if you want more information on that, go read the report first, right? I'm always telling you guys this. So if you guys haven't read the report yet and you guys are watching this TA video now, go back to the report, please. Right? So IWM essentially now is just moving sideways and essentially waiting for the official rate cut. But what's the actual future for the Russell 2000? Well, for me personally, it's still a nice bullish run for small and mid caps into the rate cycle, the rate cut cycle, and during the entirety of the rate cut cycle. So what does that mean? Well, if you take a look at the monthly time frame for IWM, remember that we've had an absolutely amazing hammer candlestick in the month of August. So obviously we have yet to realize this hammer candlestick because we need to be seeing a month in September, this current month, to continue that bullish movement to the upside, and that will officially again realize and confirm this hammer candlestick, which is basically telling us that there is a potential reversal in the price, which again is an upside reversal. So that means September has to be a sustained move to the upside until we break over August highs and eventually July's highs as well, where we got the initial big hype for small caps as we headed into that official rate cut cycle, or actually the official first rate cut that should be occurring this week. All right. So from the monthly perspective, all right, we currently have an inside monthly candlestick. Right, we're staying within the ranges, the upper and lower ranges of the August monthly candlestick. So eventually, what I want to see is a continued movement away from the current September's low, sitting at 204.21, which yet again, to remind you guys, visually here, clearly a higher low compared to August's low. All right, so both small and mid caps, I see a future where we continue to move on up higher with higher highs and higher lows, and both of these two indices, right, Russell 2000 and the mid cap ETF, continuously be in an overall bull market for the entirety of the rate cut cycle. All right, so this is the mid cap ETF here. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at our first swing trade idea for this week. But before I go into that swing trade idea, I need to show you guys these two tickers first. KWEB or KWEB or KWEB, however you guys want to say it. So this is the China Internet ETF, and I've talked about this multiple times, and we have officially played this ticker multiple times as well in the past. Well, the reason why I am basically bringing this up is that it really will relate to our first swing trade idea. So what I'm trying to tell you guys here is that using KWEB here, or KWEB, China has been consolidating very well. Right. Obviously, that consolidation has been a descending consolidation, which means, well, the price has been moving down, right? But overall, on the monthly time frame here, the average volume has been slowly coming back down as we've been moving sideways and basically seeing the price go nowhere for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, or we can even go further back as well. All right. So China has been making this very, very large base, especially in the China Internet ETF. And again, this will relate to the current swing trade idea that we have, the first swing trade idea that we have for this week. And basically, China has been moving sideways for 3 years at this point, right? Nearly 3 years. And so if you take a look at the other China ticker that we look at, which is the large cap ETF, or ticker symbol FXI, which is also another ticker that we've actively swing traded before, is also consolidating. And so overall, China has been basically been out of interest for a lot of retail investors and overall institutional investors. But with the most recent 13F filings, we know that smart and big money and institutional buyers, so smart money hedge fund managers, have been piling back into these big Chinese names. And so to me, this is very interesting, as we have been basically seeing the overall Chinese market consolidating for the past 4 to 6 months without going anywhere, right? And especially for FXI, we've been seeing the price consolidating for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 months here, and the price is basically back to prices that we haven't seen since April of this year for FXI. So with all this being said, okay, our first swing trade idea is YY, okay? JOYY. Now, I believe this is a Singaporean company. However, this name has been kind of following the overall Chinese market and overall Chinese sentiment, right? The Chinese market's sentiment. And so far, YY, or Joy Incorporated, has been doing the exact same thing by consolidating. And for this name, it's been the entire year. And so, YY, with this massive consolidation base, has officially formed an inverted head and shoulders. It is a textbook inverted head and shoulders, even though it is slightly slanted, but you can clearly see the inverted left shoulder, inverted head, and the inverted right shoulder. And for this entire year, it's been making this very massive and macro bullish chart pattern. And we also have the neckline here, this ascending resistance trendline neckline that has been forming this entire year as well. And now, why are we looking at this stock? Well, if you go on the daily time frame, last Friday and mostly for all of last week, which was again a very bullish week, this specific Asia-based company has been basically moving sideways, right? But during this entire last week's sideways price action since Tuesday, we've been making a very nice tight high flag, right? Very nice bull flag. And I'll make it even more prominent here for you guys' eyes, right? We have a very nice ascending support trendline, which eventually led the price to retest this massive macro ascending resistance trendline, or the neckline, for the overall inverted head and shoulders chart pattern multiple times, right? So as long as we can break over and peak over this ascending resistance trendline or neckline this week, we should have a nice catapult price action to the upside. And that's the reason why I gave you guys this long over entry point over $36.25, which is basically over the previous high of the day, which is again at 36.25, right? So if you guys don't want to use 36.25 and if you guys want more confirmation, then simply use let's say 36.50, right? Which is officially going to be over this neckline resistance level. Okay, but I do want to be able to capture a very nice and slightly early entry point, which is the reason why I gave you guys this 36.25 entry level. All right, now if you go back on the weekly time frame, you guys might have noticed earlier that there's a massive gap down area that the price is currently trying to fill. So then during the entirety of this formation of this chart pattern, the price has been moving slightly higher, right? Higher highs and eventually now higher lows, especially as we've been making this inverted right shoulder. So now that the fact that the price is over this weekly 50 SMA, which has been a huge barrier for the price, we should be able to finally break over and create a new uptrend and a reversal essentially to the upside, and eventually fill in this gap down that was created by essentially sellers. And so we have a lot of major price targets to look at, but if we are able to fill in this gap down area, it should be an easy swing trade to the upside, and eventually we should be hitting this ideal max profit target of $40. Okay, so for me, I just want to have a nice entry point over 36.25 and eventually have a nice target at $40, giving us a nice 1-to-4 risk to reward ratio. All right. And last but not least, here is our second swing trade idea for this week, MU. So this is the very popular, very notorious semiconductor name, but the reason why I've chosen this one is that, well, this one is slightly lagging compared to the other major leaders like AMD, okay? Right, you guys can clearly see that, AMD, or NVIDIA, right? Or even our previous swing trade idea, AVGO, right? What a massive reversal as seen here on the weekly time frame, right? So MU, clearly, just judging by the looks of all the other weekly time frames that I've just shown you guys on those major leaders, MU is clearly lagging. But during that, I guess, quote unquote, mode of lagging, MU is forming a very constructive double bottom, right? We have the left bottom over here, which is slightly above the major support level on the weekly time frame here at $84, and then the second, not official yet, but second bottom, where we have officially retested this $84 level with the low at $84.12. Now, why do I say it's not the official second bottom yet? Well, first of all, we have yet to create a higher high compared to the previous 4 weeks here. All right, we've been making lower highs and lower lows. But this week, if we're able to see MU trying to catch up to the other semiconductor leaders, we should be able to break over last week's highs of 91.47 and eventually over the previous, last week's highs of 93.88. And if you're able to do that successfully in this week alone, then we are officially seeing a new reversal to the upside, and officially we will be confirming this second bottom for this double bottom. All right, so basically what I want to see is a very simple, okay, W-shaped or double bottom chart pattern here. All right, so with that being said, if you go back down and closer to the daily time frame, right, I gave you guys a simple entry of 91.20. Now, the reason why I put 91.20 is that, well, first of all, you guys can clearly see that last Friday's closing price was at 91.22, and you might be scratching your heads. Hey, Andrew, the entry price is already passed, right? So why are you putting 91.20? Well, first of all, we weren't able to get an entry point over 91.20. Well, simply because I wasn't looking at it, right? And so if we're able to see a very nice red to green entry point at 91.20, which means that if we were able to slightly pull back and potentially retest this daily 10 SMA that we have just officially reclaimed last Friday at the close, right? We should be able to see a nice pivot and bounce to retest the daily 10 SMA and eventually bounce away from it and eventually take out last Friday's close, turning the supposed red candlestick into a new green candlestick, giving us that green light to enter over 91.20, giving us that again red to green entry point. Now, what's very important here on the daily time frame is that we have what we call a nice morning star doji. All right, and I love the fact that last Friday was the official confirmation of this morning star doji candlestick after retesting this weekly $84 level. And on top of that, we have officially reclaimed and closed over the daily 10 SMA. And so what I want to see is now a continuation of this Morningstar candlestick pattern where we can continue to move on up higher and eventually retest this descending daily 21 SMA, or my light blue line here that I'm tracing with my mouse cursor. And so again, for the profit targets, once we do get an entry point over 91.20, will be the retest of this daily 21 SMA, which yet again, just to remind you guys, is descending. So I would expect to see the daily 21 SMA around 95 to around 96 by the time the price reaches the daily 21 SMA, assuming that MU is trying to catch up to the rest of its peers like NVIDIA, AMD, and AVGO or Broadcom, right? So again, MU on the daily time frame, this is very, very important here, this Morningstar doji, and on top of that, this reclaim of this daily 10 SMA, which closed at $89.21 last Friday. So again, for this daily 10 SMA, we want to see a retest, and with that retest, I want to see the daily 10 SMA starting to curl up higher, right? Eventually flatline for a couple of days, maybe 1 or 2 days, and then starting to curl back up higher and support the price up higher so that it can retest with the daily 21 SMA. But at some point, I would want us to see the price retesting 97.50 and eventually, okay, here's the major target here and longer term target, 108.20 or the whole number level of 108. Why? Well, if you take a look at the weekly time frame, what do we have here, guys? We have a potential double bottom, and this double bottom neckline resistance level is currently sitting at 108. Okay, so that is it for this technical analysis video for this week's report. If you guys liked what you guys heard, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and if you guys are new, welcome. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. But on top of that, if you guys want to know when I am live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or when I have uploaded a new video like this one here, make sure you guys hit that notification bell, which will pop up after you hit that subscribe button. All right, have a great rest of your night and good luck tomorrow.